This is a time to celebrate, and I know you all could do better than that. I said, greetings, family. I'm Maurice Mitchell, National Director of the Working Families Party, and it is such a pleasure to be in community with you all in Chicago, where the politically unlikely becomes the home of the politically probable, the politically possible, and the politically inevitable. But I'll get to that in a minute. This is like a homecoming for me. 5 years ago, in August, Netroots was in New Orleans. I had just taken the helm as National Director of the Working Families Party. The Working Families Party just had helped to elect a progressive mayor to that city, and the Netroots organizers were one of the first to reach out to ask me to speak. It was day 2 on the job for me. I got on stage and talked about building a multiracial, multi-generational political movement that demanded we discard the false choice between racial justice and economic justice. And I had, yes, you could clap for that. And I had no idea if this project would be successful, but as a lifelong organizer, I had a little faith that we could do big things together, and you all responded to the call. So when I say greetings, family, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And in the past 5 years, you all helped the Working Families Party and progressives across the country elect an army of people-powered candidates up and down the ballot. You all did that. Candidates like Kim Foxx, who as Cook County State's Attorney knew that our communities needed more than just prisons and punishment, and that our wealth or lack thereof shouldn't determine whether you go free or sit in a cell while awaiting trial. Candidates like State Senator Robert Peters, who I got the privilege of hearing, yep, give it up. And I got the privilege of hearing Robert at this month's People's Action Gathering in DC, and you'll hear from him tonight. State Senator Peters knows that we must take our progressive agenda to the biggest of cities and the smallest of rural towns to build a durable progressive majority. Candidates who know that our children deserve to learn in modern buildings that have AC in the summer, heat in the winter, libraries stocked with books, staffed with nurses and counselors, and not patrolled by police and resource officers. The last 5 years have also been cause for celebration right here in Chicago, preceded by years of organizing, specifically by the visionaries and thousands of workers and members, for example, of the Chicago Teachers Union, led by Stacey Davis Gates, who has been the strategist and architect of this progressive renaissance in Chicago. Our partners at United Working Families, who have built on that legacy under the esteemed leadership of former Executive Director Emma Tai, who you'll hear from later, who've elected progressives up and down the ticket. Candidates like Delia Ramirez, a Working Families champion and organizer who was elected to the State House in 2018 and made history becoming the first Latina elected to Congress from the Midwest in 2022. You'll hear from another Working Families champion, former teacher and union organizer by the name of Brandon Johnson, who in the same 5-year span was elected to the Board of Commissioners in Cook County and was sworn in as this city's 57th mayor 2 months ago. Family, what a difference 5 years makes, right? But family, as satisfying and necessary it is to celebrate, our victories, and we must learn to celebrate our victories. We can't rest on what we've won. MAGA Republicans and their corporate overlords are coming back stronger, better funded, and more dangerous. They're suppressing the vote, squashing dissent, targeting our families, and buying the Supreme Court. So you know what? We've got to be stronger, more organized, and maximize our resources. And I'm not just talking about increasing small dollar donations or building massive followers on social media. This is about remembering our why and remembering our greatest resource, our greatest capital. And those are our relational resources, our relational capital, our people and relationships. So right now, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to look down on the ground, look up at the ceiling, do whatever it does for you to be able to concentrate. Just do that for a second. And I want you to think about the person or the people that you're fighting for. Okay, I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to turn to your neighbor, turn to the left, turn to the right, turn behind you, in front of you, and I want you for a moment to tell them who you're fighting for and why. Go and tell them. Who are you fighting for and why? So I'm going to probably need for you to continue that conversation after our program. Thank you. Now, thank you. In the days and weeks after this convention, I want you all to remember just a little bit about what you heard and continue that conversation after the program. But listen to your comrades. And the fact that that conversation, once you started, is hard to stop, tells you about the source of our power. When you hit the doors, when you phone bank, when you write that press release, or when you have any conversation, remember who you're fighting for. Remember who they're fighting for. The stakes couldn't be greater. And this is about more than just winning another election or flipping seats from red to blue. This is about preventing evil from happening to our loved ones and creating the conditions that allow people dearest to us to thrive. Because make no mistake about it, there will be change. The direction of that change, though, is up to us. We have three competing visions, three directions this country and our world can take in this juncture in history. We have the lie of neoliberalism, which says we keep on nibbling around the edges while never delivering substantive changes. A business as usual that opened the door for this neo-fascist authoritarian movement. That's one option, one direction. Those politics originating right here at the Chicago School have failed us. And it's such an obvious failure that even our president is dunking on the corpse of Milton Friedman right now and trickle down economics. And I want to give a shout out to go on, Dark Brandon, go on. Bidenomics, we're here for it. Now, we have another direction, the neo-fascist version of freedom, which says you should be free to say whatever you want about marginalized people, free to whitewash history, free to target trans children and drag shows, and the freedom to own more guns than you could hold in two hands, free to extract wealth from the bottom to enrich the already wealthy, that police and prisons solely keep us safe, and the freedom to crush dissenting opinions. But I believe in our version of freedom. We have a positive freedom that says everyone, regardless of your zip code or where you come from, should have the right to do more than just make ends meet. You should have the freedom to thrive, to dream, to achieve, to love the person or persons you want to love, make your own decisions about expanding your family, educating your children, or the identities that give you meaning. I like our version of freedom. What do you think? And I don't know about y'all, but I don't want a Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump or anyone else trying to hop out of the GOP 2024 clown car pulling the levers of change. So we gotta fight like hell, right? This year and every year, up and down the ballot, we have to organize and we have to consolidate and we have to build the biggest tent that we could possibly build to defeat this rising fascist movement, a tent that could hold the Cheneys and the Chomskys of the world. That is our challenge. But it doesn't stop there. Remember that there are 3 tasks. And so as we defeat fascism and build a big tent, we must fully discredit and put in the dustbin of history the lie of neoliberalism by electing the Brandon Johnsons of the world, using the levers of government to transform the lives of working people regardless of their race, class, or political affiliation. Because when we fight, when we organize, and when we consolidate that base, we win. Say it with me. When we fight, with your hands in the air. When we fight, with your hands in the air. When we organize, when we consolidate, when we build, when we organize, when we vote. Thank you, Netroots.